All right, lads and lasses, gather round because today we're diving headfirst into a right royal mess, a financial fiasco so utterly absurd it'd make even a drunken accountant blush. We're talking about UK councils going bankrupt. Now you might be thinking, Steve, councils going broke? Sounds a bit dry, mate. But trust me, this is a story about more than just spreadsheets and balance sheets. This is about the very fabric of our communities, about the essential services we all rely on, and about how years of government cuts and financial mismanagement have pushed these councils to the brink. In recent years, several UK councils have faced severe financial difficulties, leading to bankruptcy declarations. Let's take a closer look at the 6 councils that have issued Section 114 notices since 2021. Shall we buckle up? It's going to be a bumpy ride. First up, we're heading north to Northamptonshire, a county more famous for its shoes than its financial prudence. Back in 2018, Northamptonshire County Council did something unprecedented. It went bankrupt. Not just a little bit skint, mind you, but proper calling the administrators bankrupt. See, for years the council had been spending money like a teenager with their first credit card, racking up debts faster than you can say fiscal irresponsibility. They blamed it on reduced central government funding and fair play. That didn't help, but even a blind bloke on a galloping horse could see they were making some questionable financial decisions. Remember that time they spent millions on a fancy new headquarters? Yeah, not exactly the best use of public funds when you're already up to your eyeballs in debt. This wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it was about real people's lives. Libraries closed, social care services were slashed, and the council was forced to flog off assets like a bloke trying to pay off a gambling debt. Northamptonshire became a cautionary tale, a stark warning to other councils about the dangers of financial mismanagement. But did they listen? Oh, bless their cotton socks, they did not. Next, we're off to Slough, a town that Ricky Gervais once described as a slough of despond. And honestly, Ricky wasn't far off the mark, at least when it comes to Slough Borough Council's finances. In 2020, Slough followed in Northamptonshire's footsteps and issued a Section 114 notice, effectively declaring themselves bankrupt. What went wrong? Well, imagine a council run by a bunch of blokes who think they're Warren Buffett, but with the financial acumen of a pigeon playing the stock market. They borrowed heavily, invested poorly, and generally made a right pig's ear of the whole thing. They poured millions into commercial property ventures that went belly up faster than a fish in a desert, leaving the council with a financial black hole so deep you could chuck the entire cast of EastEnders down it and still have room for Piers Morgan. The result? Well, apart from the council being forced to beg the government for a bailout, essential services were cut, council tax went up, and the people of Slough were left wondering how their elected officials could have made such a monumental cock-up. From one financial car crash to another, let's pop down to Croydon, a place that was once touted as South London's answer to Canary Wharf. But just like that mate who brags about their Bitcoin investments right before the market crashes, Croydon's boom turned out to be a bit of a facade. In 2021, Croydon Borough Council joined the growing club of bankrupt councils, and boy did they do it in style. See, Croydon had a bit of a spending problem. They splashed out on fancy hotels, lavish office buildings, and even a bloody Westfield shopping centre that never got built. It was like they were playing a game of Monopoly, but with real money, and even realer consequences. Their downfall was a cautionary tale of hubris, of council leaders blinded by ambition and deaf to the warnings of financial experts. They gambled big on Croydon's future, and they lost, leaving the council with a mountain of debt and the people of Croydon with a significantly reduced bin collection schedule. Right, let's talk about Thurrock, a place that's about as glamorous as a wet Wednesday in Wigan. You wouldn't think a council in a place like Thurrock would have the opportunity to gamble away millions, but you'd be wrong. See, Thurrock Borough Council had a bit of a secret. They were addicted to risky investments. We're talking about the kind of investments that make your nan say, "Ooh, that sounds a bit dodgy, love." They poured hundreds of millions into solar farms, hoping for a big return. But remember what your old nan always said, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And true it was, because these investments went sour faster than a pint of milk left out in the sun. By 2022, Thurrock Council was in such dire straits that they had to issue a Section 114 notice, effectively declaring themselves bankrupt. They blamed it on high inflation and rising service costs, which, fair enough, those things don't help. But when you're already knee-deep in dodgy investments, those external factors are like adding fuel to a dumpster fire. Next up, we're off to Woking, home of the McLaren Technology Centre and, more recently, a council teetering on the brink of financial oblivion. In 2023, Woking Borough Council joined the unfortunate ranks of bankrupt councils and, mate, it was a proper car crash of epic proportions. Now, Woking's financial woes weren't down to one single catastrophic decision. No, this was a slow-motion train wreck, fueled by a toxic cocktail of reduced funding, soaring service demands, and a council that seemed hell-bent on making every bad financial decision in the book. They borrowed heavily, invested poorly, and generally acted like a bunch of lads on a stag-do let loose with the company credit card. The result? Well, apart from the council having to flog off assets faster than a bloke trying to unload stolen goods at a car boot sale, essential services were slashed, and council tax shot up faster than the price of a Freddo. Now brace yourselves, because we've saved the biggest for last. We're talking about Birmingham, England's second largest city, a place known for its bullring shopping centre, its vibrant nightlife, and, as of 2023, being the biggest council in Europe to go bankrupt. This wasn't just another council taking a tumble, this was a financial earthquake that sent shockwaves through the entire country. So how did a council as big as Birmingham end up in such a state? Well, imagine the perfect storm of financial woes, soaring inflation, skyrocketing social care costs, and a government that seemed hell-bent on squeezing local councils until the pips squeaked. Birmingham City Council, already struggling under the weight of years of underfunding, was hit by this perfect storm and simply couldn't weather the financial onslaught. The result? Well, apart from the council having to issue a Section 114 notice and effectively declare themselves bankrupt, they were forced to make drastic cuts to essential services. Libraries faced closure, bin collections were reduced, and the city was left reeling from the sheer scale of the financial crisis. So there you have it, a whistle-stop tour of the UK's council bankruptcy crisis. It's a right mess, isn't it? But here's the thing, this isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, this is about real people's lives, about the essential services we all rely on, and about the very fabric of our communities. These financial crises highlight the growing challenges faced by local governments in the UK. With reduced funding and rising costs, many councils are struggling to balance their budgets and provide essential services. But don't despair just yet. This isn't the end. We can fix this, but it's going to take a collective effort. We need to hold our elected officials accountable, demand better funding for local services, and find innovative solutions to the challenges facing our communities. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.